Hi everybody, another good video for you here. We went up to Freshwater Farms of Ohio. In central Ohio, it's in Urbana, and they have a pond full of white sturgeon that we got to pet, so that was super cool. Quick little eel pit update first. The crabs have started coming over and eating pellets as well, so that does just make everything easier for me. You can see my 2 diamond sturgeon coming right up too. They're definitely starting to fill out a little bit. They seemed a little thin when I got them. But yeah, they're all filling out and everybody's loving the pellets. So super cool to see the crab grab the tiny little pellets with his claws. Things are also going well in the eel pit mini. No issues, the big giant loaches are doing good. There's the quick flash of the albino channel cat. Then it's gonna be a long time before I get a good look at the Indian mashir or the perch barbs. They're just so quick and spook so easily when I put my hands in here. So it'll be a while before we get a good look at them again. But everyone else is doing amazing. There's the albino Tibetan loach. Such a cool species. I can't wait for these guys. They are filling out already. I think they'll put on size pretty quick, at least to about a foot. So that's perfect for the eel pit. But yes, anyway, on to the farm. So yeah, Urbana, Ohio, kind of maybe an hour west of Columbus. But they had all your typical kind of pond store stuff, koi and tons of aquatic plants, lots of varieties of goldfish. We were definitely there to kind of see more of the aquaculture stuff. Lots of different types of lilies. They had big, huge bins for stocking trout. They had little quarter crank machines all over the place too, so you could feed all the animals. That's always fun. I tried to get some, as good as I could, slow motion shots of the trout coming up. They would just explode. When they saw you kind of approach the pond, they would all swarm to your area. And then when the pellets hit the water, it was just chaos. So, always fun to see. All right, now on to what I was most excited for. This is their sturgeon pond. They have a group of white sturgeon they've had since 1997. So these fish are about 25 years old. The white sturgeon are the ones you see in the viral clips where there's, they get absolutely massive. Whenever anyone's like asking, don't sturgeon get huge? It's this species they're usually referring to, just because of all the viral clips of 10 to 12 foot ones online. I believe the verified world record of these is 14 feet and about, I think, 1,500 pounds nearly. But there are sources that say they used to get to up to 20 feet, which is absolutely crazy if we're usually only seeing some half-grown ones. But yeah, at 25 years old, this is the size, so about 4 or 5 foot. That's why I'm not really worried about my sturgeon and my eel pit, the diamond sturgeon. Absolute max for those is 7 foot. Captive max is usually 4 or 5 foot, so about the size these ones are currently, actually. My eel pit's actually bigger than this pond, so I am not worried. They also have a group of lake sturgeon in here that were given to them from Ohio State University. They are endangered in Ohio, but they kind of have them gifted from them. Yeah, the white sturgeon were super cool. You can see they do have a little bit of fin damage probably from the pond. Just a little bit of fin curl. Nothing too major. But yeah, they are super cool. So yeah, on to some of the, they had a bunch of displays in here. A lot of the water was all hooked up to the sturgeon system, so a lot of it was cold water stuff. Then over here they have this little tiger salamander in a tub. Awesome to see. I love tiger salamanders. I've never found one in the wild yet, but they're definitely on my list to see. I find a lot of spotteds more than anything. Tigers are about an hour in every direction of where I live, but not exactly where I live. This little system was cool. This is on the sturgeon system, so there's a ton of condensation, but gives me other ideas for the eel pit. Perch would be a really cool one. I don't want to do bass. I think bass are pretty plain. But a group of white crappie like these guys here would be really cool. I love the kind of dorsal stripe these guys have, that black stripe right down their face. I think that would look really cool from the top down in the eel pit. Especially like a small group, like 3 to 6 of them. Just for kind of small little filler fish. They were all alert and active. But yeah, you can really see the condensation on that aquarium. Kind of wipe it out of the way just from how cold it is versus how hot the air temperature is. But yeah, here is some of the baby trout they breed. These guys were tiny, about probably 1.5 inches. Little guys in the inside tubs. And they had a little snapping turtle pond. Angry little guy. Always gotta try out the snapping turtles when I see one. Then on our way out, we actually ran into a quick little tiny tornado. And they also had a section where you could feed their goats, and the goats knew what you were looking for, so they led us right to the little feed station for them. And they were all super friendly, came right up to us. I think they had 5 of them. But after this, we went on a hike in Yellow Springs, Ohio on the way home. Beautiful little spot. It's kind of near Dayton, Ohio, so southwest Ohio. But it is always very pretty here. It's a lot of hiking trails. And then this is a kind of little beaver dam wetland. Then the spring actually flows over this tiny little cave here. But it's always a good hike if I'm ever kind of passing through the area. I try to stop when I can. To the actual spring, it's a pretty short trail, but there's a lot more to hike here. But we didn't see any too exciting animals while we were out and about. Then when I got home, I caught my platinum alligator gar trying to eat one of my polypterus, little Delhaize in his mouth. I did make him spit it out. Unfortunately, the polypterus didn't survive. But the next day, we went on another hike, and we found this cool little cave. And while we were exploring this, we actually found, next to this little waterfall, an adult cave salamander. These guys are super cool. I come across the adults actually pretty often in kind of small areas like this. Limestone caves, anywhere real rocky with a decent amount of water coming through. But whenever I know I'm going to be somewhere dark, I always bring a black light with me too, so I can kind of check for any cool fluorescence. You can see some of the calcite from the cave lit up there. A lot of different amphibians actually do. You can see his eyes lit up a little bit there. And his skin definitely kind of changes the color of that. But some actually have like bright green spots that you would never know unless you were using a black light. So there you can see all the calcite on the sides of the cave. Super cool. Moving on in the cave though. So it was all kind of like a muddy footprint kind of path, but there were baby cave salamanders, which I don't usually see. It's really just timing it right. Then there were some little amphipods here breathing. But we saw tons of baby salamanders. I mean, probably 200 to 300 at least in all these footprints in this cave. Super interesting little guys. And yeah, I'm not 100% sure. It's really hard to ID baby salamanders, but they gotta be from the cave salamanders. Then these little amphipods were also fluorescent under the black light. I think that pink inside of them is actually what they've been feeding on that you're seeing through their skin. But yeah, this is a little breeding pair of some type of amphipod darting around in the footprints in this cave. I'm sure like the smallest amount of rain and all these puddles connect. But it was really interesting going through and seeing all the different little creatures that we could find in here. No bats this time. I've definitely seen bats in here in the past. But it is cool to see the fluorescence of the stuff around. And here's another look at all the salamanders. So this is just one tiny little puddle in this cave, and the entire cave pretty much was a puddle just like this. And here's a little cave cricket. They also happen to be kind of that blue fluorescence under the black light. Then here's another little waterfall. This one actually has some little bit of cave formations going on. These little calcite pools. You can see another little amphipod. He was also fluorescent. But what was really cool was all the calcite here coming off this waterfall. You can see it made little, almost like tide pools, layered up over time. Kind of perfectly balanced with the calcite spilling over. And it was just this one section that lit up under the black light. The rest of it was all dark, just regular limestone. Then this little bullfrog here, his eyes lit up too. It's crazy. I'll walk on trails at night with the black light, and you'll just see the bright frog eyes. Look like a little ghost frog or something. Yeah, on with the rest of the hike. This was at Clifty Falls in Indiana. Here you can see, I think they're toad tadpoles, but thousands and thousands of them in this little offshoot of the creek where the water was still. And then we made our way all the way to the main waterfall. Super cool hike. It goes all the way along the trail. And at the end of the waterfall, we did actually find a little tiny baby common snapping turtle just at the base of the waterfall. The water here was super cold coming off the waterfall, I guess. So this guy wasn't too active, but he probably just hatched out. Tiny little guy. Tried to put him back in the water, but he wasn't too keen on swimming off. I think he wanted to bask in the sunlight. But yeah, that was my week. Thanks for watching.